Republican congressman joining us, Carlos Curbelo of Florida. So let's put up again, just for the audience, and thank you for joining us as always, what's expected.
Morning,
that this
Chris.
will expand the use of expedited removal proceedings, more process, in other words, tightens laws on asylum seekers and unaccompanied minors, orders surge in immigration judges and detention facilities, gives more authority to immigration officers, leaves Dreamer program intact. Are you happy with what we are expected to see?
Well, Chris, the first thing I'll say is that this country, just like any country, has the right and the responsibility to secure its border and enforce its immigration laws. Now, having said that, we need to do that in a smart and a compassionate way. And I'll tell this administration the same thing I told the previous administration. If we're going to solve the immigration puzzle in this country, something we've been debating for about 10 years now, the administration has to engage the Congress, and the solution has to come out of the Congress, and the solution has to be complete. It cannot be enforcement only. It cannot be only having compassion with those who are undocumented and working in our country. We need to do it all: border security, visa reform, and yes, finding a way to a legal status for those who are contributing in our country, who aren't violating our laws. And some of the good news from my perspective in this order is the continuation of DACA. We have many young, undocumented immigrants in our community, people who were brought to the country as children, and those protections for them will stay in place. That's something else that calls for a solution from the Congress.
One step sideways, and then we'll get back to the travel ban. But in terms of the recent enforcement actions, are you concerned that some of these principles that you want to make sure are part of our reform are not in place, that some families have been jeopardized and broken up by recent enforcement actions? Is that something that you're going to speak out against?
Absolutely, and without question, there's a tightening here from the policies of the previous administration, but I remind everyone, the previous administration removed more undocumented immigrants than any other in the history of our country. Now, the way in which we do that has to be smart. These orders do focus, from what I can tell, on criminals, people who have committed crimes in our country. Of course, I think most Americans agree that those people should be removed. Now, people who are just here working, contributing, breaking up families, those are the kinds of things we don't want to see. They're not good for our country, and they're obviously not good for those families.
It's interesting to hear a Republican state the fact that Obama's administration had been very aggressive in deportations, because often your party acts as if he didn't he let everybody stay. He didn't kick anybody out. So do you think you're going to get a lot of resistance from people when you speak out that way?
Look, I think in recent years, the truth has gotten lost in a lot of our debates. The fact is that the Obama administration deported more people than anyone in our history. The fact is that we have a much more secure situation at the border than we did 10 years ago.
Right.
Now, do we need to keep going? Do we need to do better? Absolutely. Do we need to solve this immigration puzzle once and for all? The American people are tired, Chris, of this debate. It's literally been 10 years since McCain-Kennedy. We need to act, and in order to accomplish this, no administration, whether it's Obama or Trump, can act alone. The Congress has to be a part of the solution.